I love that Nintendo Switch!
What's going on YouTube? It is your boy QKG, and today we are reviewing a indie game that kind of caught me off guard with all of its cyberpunk flair and third-person shooter action. We are talking about that game Foreclosed that launched on that hybrid console known as the Nintendo Switch. So when I saw the gameplay trailer for this game, man, I was pretty impressed. I was like, okay, I love to see indie games take some jumps like this, so I want to see it for myself. So I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I just finished this game, so the ending is kind of like, but I'm just going to go ahead and just give you a synopsis of the story. So you play as that boy named Capnos, who literally has this cybernetic implant that gives his boy some nasty superpowers. And he can put enemies in like these force fields. He can create a shield for himself. He can knock enemies down, lift them up, levitate them. He can do a lot of stuff. And also he's equipped with this kind of pistol blaster type joint right here. This thing gets a couple of different upgrades and it can store up to 3. But here's where it kind of gets into a wall. This is a narrative-driven game. So what that means is this is not something that you're going to be able to play constantly for years down the line. This is more of an experience. So that's why I'm going to be judging that $30 price tag with the experience, because it's very difficult to judge narrative-driven games compared to other games, because other games can have replay value to where you can just go back and constantly just revisit certain moments in the game that you enjoyed. With the narrative-driven game, you just have to enjoy the story. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The entire story is that kind of he really kind of fits like this cliche, like, I gotta get my life back. That's kind of even actually how he talks throughout the game, like kind of narrating. He's like, I need to get my life back. He's kind of, hey man, this is critiquing, okay? Don't get pissed at me. I'm just trying to tell you, the voice acting work for the main character, it just wasn't cutting it. It just needed a little bit more, like, just something. It just needed a little bit more emotion, because it felt like at the same time when you get to pick certain responses, those aren't voice acted, but he kind of narrates his life or like the next stages and where he's going, like when you go into the next level. So you got to hear the voice and then you get to pick the responses, but it's kind of like, you know, like like if this was a voiceless protagonist, it probably would have went a little better. But if you would have did the voice acting for him, I just feel like either you need to pick a different voice actor, or if you do another Foreclosed or whatever, have it like a completely different person from a completely different perspective, and please give them some, I don't know, just it needs to give something for the gamers to connect with. I didn't give a shit about him. Like, all this, like, yeah, dude, it was kind of messed up, you know, what they did to your life with this whole implant shit. But at the same time, it's like, he just had the cliche responses. He had the it was just a lot of stuff I predicted throughout the game. So I just felt like just the way he carried himself, it was very generic. He was kind of like the character from Watch Dogs, like the first Watch Dogs, Aiden. How everybody was like, yeah, he just, you know, yeah. Gameplay has its moments. Like I said, he's got that implant, so he's able to just have 4 different superpowers, and then he has 3 different implant slots. But there's like 6 or 9 implants upgrades that you can get for your gun in total, and then there's about a good maybe 12-ish power-ups. So they give you a good handful. But when I started to read the ones for the pistol, I'm like, okay, so it's pretty much either it's an automatic chain gun or it's a heavy magnum, or you can combine the 2 with a quicker cooldown. But when you start to use these abilities, since you don't really reload your weapons or collect mana or nothing like that, everything goes off your implant overheating. So if, depending on the ability you have, it might take 70% of your implant. So if you have a clear implant at 100%, you're damn near overheating. You're a good 30% to where you about to be out here hurting like, nah, because you can't overheat and he will be exposed and get lit up. And what I mean by lit up, you can get lit up. This game has some of the weirdest AI that sometimes they pull off some big brain plays, and sometimes they just stand in one spot and they just shoot at the cover that you're hiding behind. So the AI kind of like caught me off guard. There were times I could actually cheese the AI. I'd be like, all right, I know you ain't moving, but you can actually see them through the wall. So sometimes they might try to creep around the corner, but the AI sometimes would literally piss you up because it seems like maybe if you got shot a good maybe 5-ish times, you was done ski. So there were plenty of times where I was getting like, I would peek out the cover, do a couple shots, and I get lit up, and then, you know, I'm just pretty much waxed. Or maybe it could have just been the accuracy part too, because since you can only shoot while standing up, which I thought was kind of weird, you don't really go into that first person view, so you're only relying off crosshairs, and since it's a blaster and there's like these like bzz, bzz, like kind of like sound effects going off around the corner, it's like I can't see like you know, I can't see a bullet, so I don't know if it's hitting. But your crosshairs do highlight like a red color when you're actually hitting shots. So just in case if you're wondering, like, well, I'm trying to put like, just in case if you're wondering if you put so many shots in, when it glows red and starts to flick like that, that's when you actually hit some shots. But other than that, you can dodge roll, action roll. You can hide behind cover, but there's not really like a cover button, which I felt like it would have set this game off if they had like kind of like a Gears of War cover button. Since you can't shoot crouched anyway, it was like you have a crouch button only to just kind of sneak around, and that was it. So the game does have its moments where it changes the gameplay aspects on you. It's not always third person. You might be in kind of like that Diablo camera angle where you gotta like get past drones that have like the spotlight type shit. There's different door hacking puzzles that you gotta do. So overall, kudos to the game developers for throwing out some different aspects of the gameplay at you just to shake it up. So to really answer the question, since, look, at this game's core, it is a visual novel. Did it tell a good story? It told a pretty damn good story. And the only thing was, it's on the short side, and then you got those gameplay issues there that kind of like, you know, it's pretty present. But as far as, you know, telling a pretty good story, the only issue was there really wasn't boss fights. There was more like boss puzzles and like kind of like boss stages. You know, like where you get like those stages where it's just like a bunch of enemies, you know, like a bunch of different like puzzles that you got to do. It's kind of like areas like that, but there really aren't like bosses where like, you know, you got to shoot through, you know, crazy stuff like that, because this is more of like a corporate setting. But overall, ending actually has a mind twist ending, and you might want to revisit the game one time to make the ending make sense, unless you do it all in one run. Overall, my take on Foreclosed for the Nintendo Switch. I mean, $30 for a visual novel. I mean, you know, for me, I thought it was high, but overall, you did have 60 FPS gameplay. Did tell a really good story. It was just really short, in my opinion. Did switch it up with the gameplay angle. So all the way, I would definitely say this was a decent title. Definitely say it was a decent title. It would have been fire if we had that cover mechanic, if we had just longer levels, maybe a couple boss fights here and there, something like that. It's just more things to shoot, and just more variety with what you're shooting with, I would say. So overall, I would definitely say this is a decent game. But $30, this is a visual novel, so please heed that. For an example, if you want something that's going to last you for some months, this might just really might not be it. This is more of just an experience. So if it goes on sale, let's say this boy is a nice $20 pop, I definitely recommend it. Like, hey, that's the game you want to play, just experience, because it's very immersive. So definitely if it goes on sale, instant cop. But as of right now, this is just more of, hey, if you got $30 to blow and you're like, hey, I really don't know what to do with this bread in my pocket, it's burning a hole, and you really want something just to experience for, I don't know, maybe a couple days, depending on how, you know, much you play it, yeah, definitely give it a shot. But it's got them gameplay issues, so please look out. So anyway, I would like to thank you guys for tuning into this video, and as always, make sure you leave your comments down below if you want me to review any games that you've been liking, or any games you think you want to see a review on by your boy. So I'd love to thank you guys for tuning in. This is your boy QKG, and peace out.